In the vast spiritual landscape of India's Mahakumbh, where the material and the divine intertwine, the lineage of enlightened masters carries forward an unbroken chain of wisdom. The Kumbh Mela happens every year, but the Mahakumbh happens just once in 144 years, and among them stood a Naga Sadhu who attended 2 such Mahakumbhs. This Naga Sadhu lived for 260 years and attended more Mahakumbhs than anyone else, and his life was the manifestation of the Advaita. There are men who walk this earth, yet remain untouched by its maya. They are the ones who have dissolved the I and embraced the infinite. Sri Digambar Baba, also lovingly known as Totapuri Maharaj, was such a man, an avaduta, a master of the formless, one who had transcended even the need for identity. Once Baba was deep in meditation on the banks of the Ganga near Bhagalpur. The villagers held him in deep reverence, eager to serve him in any way they could. When householders visited Baba, expressing their desire to renounce, he said, "A truthful and honest householder is far more pure than a so-called ascetic." One evening, a strange smell filled the air, the unmistakable scent of burning flesh. The villagers looked around puzzled, for there was no cremation ground nearby. Following the scent, they traced it back to Baba's hut. Inside, they found a shocking sight. A burning log from the fire pit had rolled onto Baba's leg, charring his flesh. Yet, he remained utterly unmoved, lost in the stillness of nirvikalpa samadhi. The pain that would have made any ordinary person cry out in agony did not even touch him. Alarmed, the villagers rushed to extinguish the fire and tended to his wounds. But Baba remained as he was, oblivious, untouched by the suffering of the body, absorbed in the infinite. Another time, the Ganga swelled with fury, overflowing her banks and threatening to swallow the village. The terrified villagers ran to Baba, their voices trembling with desperation. "Baba, have mercy. The river is rising. Our homes will be washed away. We have already lost our crops. Please save us." Baba, as always, remained silent. He listened, his eyes deep pools of stillness. Then, without a word, he closed his eyes and slipped into meditation. The next morning, when the villagers awoke, they found the Ganga had altered her course. Where destruction had seemed inevitable, a miracle had unfolded. Rich silt now covered their farmlands, ensuring an abundant harvest for years to come. The village rejoiced, and Baba's name spread far beyond Bhagalpur. People came from distant lands, offering gifts and seeking his blessings. A wandering ascetic, he saw the worship of divine forms as mere child's play, an attachment of the mind unwilling to break free from illusion. Clad in nothing but the sacred ash smeared across his body, he roamed through the temple gardens of Dakshineswar. There, he caught sight of a man lost in divine ecstasy. Ramakrishna, clapping his hands, his voice ringing through the air as he chanted the name of Mother Kali with pure devotion. At a glance, he saw beyond the surface. This was no ordinary devotee. This was a soul ready for the highest knowledge, the realization of the formless absolute. Approaching him, the ascetic made his proposal. "Come, receive the knowledge of Advaita Vedanta." But Ramakrishna, ever the child of the Divine Mother, replied, "I must ask my mother first." With that, he disappeared into the temple, standing before the black stone form of Kali, feeling her pulse, her breath, her living presence. And when she granted him permission, he returned. Totapuri, ever the fierce teacher, picked up a sharp stone and pressed it against Ramakrishna's forehead. "Focus on the pain," he commanded. "Cut through the illusion." With an unseen sword of wisdom, Ramakrishna shattered the divine form, and with it, his very self dissolved into the infinite. For 3 days he remained absorbed in nirvikalpa samadhi, his breath shallow, his body motionless, lost in that boundless expanse where even thought ceases to exist. Totapuri, who had spent decades striving for the same realization, was stunned. What had taken him 40 years, Ramakrishna had achieved in a single sitting. When Ramakrishna finally returned to the world, he bowed to Totapuri, his voice quiet, yet filled with something beyond words. "Had you not come, I would have spent my life in illusion. The final veil has fallen away." Yet this truth was unsettling. It rendered worship futile. Even his own followers would rarely speak of this event, for it challenged everything they held sacred. Totapuri, bound by his own ascetic discipline, never stayed in one place for more than 3 days. But this time was different. He remained at Dakshineswar for 11 months, drawn to the one who had been his disciple, but now felt like his master. And then illness struck. Dysentery gripped him with unrelenting pain, disturbing his meditation, reminding him of the body's frailty. To him, the body was nothing but a vessel, now broken and unnecessary. It was time to discard it. He walked into the Ganga, intending to surrender himself to the currents. But as he moved deeper, something strange happened. The water, which should have swallowed him whole, barely reached his knees. No matter how far he walked, the river refused to take him. Finally, he reached the opposite shore, bewildered. Turning back, he saw the Kali temple gleaming under the moonlight. And in that moment, something shattered within him. It was not the body that had refused to drown. It was the divine will that had carried him across. For the first time, he saw it. The formless was not separate from the form. The absolute was not apart from its creation. Everything, his body, the river, even the illness, was a manifestation of the same consciousness. A lifetime of rigid renunciation dissolved in an instant. There was no longer a division between illusion and truth, between worship and wisdom. The universe itself was a luminous expression of the divine. Two souls, two paths. One renounced the world, the other fought within it. Yet both walked the razor's edge of realization. Because in the end, whether in silence or in battle, whether in meditation or in war, the goal remains the same. Liberation, moksha, the dissolution of the self into the infinite.